Hello, everyone. My name is Jason, Legislative Chair for the San Fernando Valley chapter of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. Election season is heating up. It's getting closer and closer every day, and thankfully, we will be no longer subjected to the reign of terror under Governor Gavin Newsom for much longer. We have a race for a new governor coming up very, very soon in 2026, and we have a lot of gubernatorial hopefuls in that race. So, joining me here today is one of them, Leo Zacky, Republican candidate for governor of California. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and why you're running for governor of California?
Sure. Well, I'm running for a whole host of reasons. Well, first off, I'm Leo Zacky. I am the great grandson of the founder of Zacky Farms, the poultry company, which I'm sure many Californians have had on their Thanksgiving dinner plate, or in fried chicken form, or in a hot dog. That's me. That's my family. I was the vice president of the company. Worked my way up from the bottom to earn that title. I was a board member for the California Poultry Federation, which is a lobbying organization. Did that for 10 years, meaning with elected officials, senators, congressmen, state reps, USDA, FDA, EPA, so on and so forth. So I've dealt with these uh, heartless people before, to put it lightly. And I've also been involved in a few other businesses. I've been in the restaurant industry. I've been in commercial real estate. I've got a couple of great companies. One does protein replication with plants, and another one does plastic waste conversion. They're doing really, really well, so I'm excited about that. And most importantly, I am a I'm a gun lover. I love my guns, and I'm a 2A absolutist.
2A absolutist. That's what we like to hear, especially in the 2A community. California is, I would arguably say, the complete opposite, polar opposite of 2A absolutists. It's every little thing they can to try to restrict the peaceable people from keeping and bearing arms. So, um, besides being a 2A absolutist, what are your thoughts on the Second Amendment overall? What does it really mean to you?
Well, I mean, as written down, it says shall not be infringed, so I'll take it at that. But it's about overthrowing tyrannical government and giving people the ability to fight back against tyranny, obviously for self-defense as well. But I mean, that's the number one issue there. And so I want people to be able to, you know, organize a militia if needed to overthrow a tyrannical government. And I'm not advocating that we should ever get to that point, but God forbid it does. We need to be able to be in a position to throw off the shackles of oppression.
Absolutely. And that from the very beginning, it's been so clear in American history that that was one of the primary reasons for the Second Amendment in the first place, throwing off that tyrannical government, defending your communities and your state and the country at large from all threats, foreign and domestic. And that's sort of been lost on a lot of people because I think a lot of people, especially in more blue states, they either are too trusting in the government, they think that the government can take care of them with all of their needs, or they think, well, that'll never happen. The government will never get tyrannical.
Of
Why would
course
I
not.
ever want to have a weapon to fight against tyrannical government? That just sounds like a conspiracy theory or
Wow.
lunacy or whatever kind of buzzword they want to use. Um, so I do find it really funny that when people try to talk down on the Second Amendment. They try to berate people who care about individual liberty and care about keeping the government in check. Obviously with tyrannical governments, we've seen a prime example of someone taking power and cranking up that knob to the extreme in Gavin Newsom
Yeah.
here in California. Gavin Newsom's definitely no fan of the Second Amendment. He has proposed himself a 28th Amendment to hamstring the Second Amendment, and he even called the Second Amendment a suicide pact at one point. What is your reaction to Governor Newsom?
Well, he talks out of both sides of his mouth. He's very much gearing up for his presidential run in 2028. There's no doubt about that. Everything he's doing, even this Prop 50 nonsense where he's burning, you know, $250 million on this election, where they're again violating our state constitution, which he's got no problem wiping his bottom with. It's just, again, another insult from someone who doesn't care about our liberties and our freedoms and what our foundation of this country was put on. And the Second Amendment is there not only to ensure the First Amendment, but to make sure that we, the people, have our independence and our freedom and our liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really disgraceful too with the way he reacts to just regular people. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've
And it
seen.
doesn't stop, of course, but look at it. The statistics show over and over again that it's not the law-abiding gun owners that are committing the violent acts with guns. It's people that shouldn't have firearms, you know, repeat offender, violent felons, people that are getting access to guns illegally. It's and so it's more than just, oh, the Second Amendment. It's that people are abusing the weapons, and they're tools at the end of the day. It's no different than a hammer or a kitchen knife or a motor vehicle. And they love to harp on how awful guns are and all these gun deaths and violence. And um, I mean, look, it's not a perfect world, but we should be focused on the criminal element more than the tool. In the UK, for example, you can look up a statistic, a map of London where you can see knife attacks and acid attacks, and you
True.
don't see things typically like that in America because we have firearms, right? But I mean, think about all the other horrible things that will take place. It's just when you take one tool away, people will find another tool to replace it with.
Yeah, absolutely. The tool itself is intention neutral. It's nothing that is going to all by itself go up and commit a crime all by itself. You can use firearms for all lawful purposes or for the depraved in the world. They can use it to murder. They can use it to commit atrocities. And that kind of leads actually into the next point I wanted to touch on here is instead of holding criminals accountable, this year, the California legislature decided to pass through both houses three bills that are going to further restrict people's access to firearms, and one of those being AB 1127. Everyone out there watching at home knows what I'm talking about. This is the Glock ban bill in California. It bans the sale of new Glocks starting July 1st, 2026, because of machine gun convertible pistols, as it's quoted in the bill text, trying to blame gun stores for even selling Glocks in the first place, while criminals are illegally converting them into machine guns. Um, a bill like
So
1127,
stupid.
what's your reaction to that? And I mean, it
It's
doesn't do
so
anything.
stupid. Jason, it's dumb. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, they've already restricted us on what Glocks we can buy. And first off, this problem is exclusive to the Gen 2s and Gen 3 Glocks. This says we can't get Gen 4, Gen 5 in California. And those ones you can't put that quote unquote Glock switch on it that they're talking about. So it's completely stupid. I mean, but
Hmm.
this is the blind leading the blind. People have no business, who have no understanding of what these firearms are actually, what they are and what their capabilities are. So they just blindly block us from having the ability to have those handguns. I have Glock. I love it. It's a great gun. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of other fantastic firearms out there, but it's just stupid. They're blaming the tool, and it's really a simple fix. Allow us to newer generation of the Glock and Kenya, and that problem goes away. I think people are going to be interested in buying those versions when they can get the latest and greatest model, which will probably be more accurate and probably be more lighter and more ergonomic and all the things that you would want in a handgun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the solution here in a normal world is just to get rid of the handgun roster altogether. Obviously, just that
Of
idea
course,
of a
I
of
want a
a government
staccato.
approved. Yeah, well there you go. Hey, thankfully Staccato did bring a model to California recently, but of course not all of them. And that furthers the point that it's so restrictive on what people can and can't own. That's already a big red flag. The government telling you what kind of handgun that you can have because of what they deem to be safe or not safe. Um, One thing that I would like to note on that bill is at last minute before it passed out of the Senate, they did add some amendments to the bill, and I found this really funny that basically calls out Glock without saying Glock because Generation 3 is grandfathered into the roster. If Glock can fix whatever's in the gun that makes it a machine gun convertible pistol under their new definition, then they can reapply it to the roster for 2027. Now we see here a little bit of a little bit of a conflict because recently CZ their handguns, the 75s, the SPO1s, all that, they fell off the roster due to a very small component. A little spring was changed in the manufacturing process, and that was enough to drop those off the roster. So if
Yeah.
Glock decides to reinvent Generation 3, then, well, that's going to have to be regulated under the roster requirements anyways, and so they're going to treat it like a brand new
Right. It's
firearm.
a it's a catch 22.
Yeah.
Right. It's a catch 22. And the problem is that it's very cost prohibitive to these businesses
Agreed.
because what happens is that whenever they want to sell a model of handgun here in California, they have to send three versions of each one, even if they change the color, right? Like if you have a dark earth and a pink one or just a black one, they have to send three, even though they're identical weapons, for the California roster to be able to do whatever stupid testing they have to approve it on the list. So when you make minor changes like that, it affects everything, and that's also what really inhibits these smaller niche firearm manufacturers being able to want to sell their weapons here. I mean, think about how expensive things like staccatos are. I mean, if you just mill out the slide a little bit to put a different RMR, mount on there, they have to send three versions of those. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so ridiculous that at all the laws that they put in place, and all they're doing is hurting the businesses that sell the firearms, and they're also push for these more quote unquote, according to them, and I have no problem with Glock Gen 3s. I own one myself, love it a lot. Is that these convertible dangerous firearms become, because when you limit the options, it forces people into that to that category. If you had no firearm roster like that and you just had everything available to everybody in the market, well, you wouldn't see people gravitating towards that one specific firearm because they'd have 1,000 more options to choose from.
Yeah, it discourages
But
that
that's just
that
common sense to
competition.
me.
Yeah, it discourages any sort of marketability from all these other manufacturers in California.
And
Yeah,
by the way, that switch is already just the switch itself is already, according to the ATF, is already considered a machine gun. Just that little thing itself,
yeah,
which you couldn't go to a store and purchase anyways. So
right.
going back to the point that it's just criminals that are already inclined to break the law, breaking the law. They just happen to be breaking the law with the use of a firearm. So again, this has nothing to do with law-abiding citizens. People like me who just like to go and plink steel and shoot clays.
Yeah, by all means, it's as much as they can do to discourage the law abiding to not actually pursue responsible firearms ownership. We hear them all the time talk about you have to be responsible with your firearm and you have to be safe with your firearm. Well, why continue to pass these laws that only target the responsible? Why only do that? Because they want you to give up. They want you to be inhibited from actually possessing these firearms. Another one of these bills, for example, is Assembly Bill 7. I'm sorry, not Assembly, Senate Bill 704. This is background checks for barrels. Now, right now in California, you have the $5 ammunition eligibility check where it checks the system to see if you have a registered firearm in California, does a little check and see if you're eligible for ammunition. Well, the same thing is going to happen with barrels if this gets signed into law by Governor Newsom. Once again, this is trying to discourage people from repairing their firearms under the guise of we need to stop ghost guns. That's their whole argument for this bill, ghost guns. So something like that. I mean, I would assume,
What are you gonna do?
no,
Make 3D printers illegal? I mean, it's so stupid. There's
yeah,
no stopping this.
they've tried to make the schematics illegal with Assembly Bill 1263, and if you
Some,
know somebody that has schematics or anything like that, you got to make sure
yeah,
you
but
report them.
but that's the thing. I mean, like people can just make random little parts and assemble them how they want. Like again, this goes back to the criminal eh, who's criminally focused. Its mindset is to do something illegal. They're going to do that whether it's legal or not, and you stopping them because of some legislature isn't going to at all prevent whatever thing you're worried about taking place. It's just not going to happen. You're just impeding other people's ability to their liberties and their rights that are actually given to them by God.
That right of self-preservation is so important. That's one other thing that people overlook with the Second Amendment. These gifts that we have from God, this beautiful country that we have to have the tools and means necessary to defend it from all threats.
Right. But that's what
Yeah.
makes America America, because we're the only country that literally says in our founding documents that our rights are inalienable, meaning that they're given to us by a higher authority, not from an individual or a government. It comes from God, period. So like you can't take those rights away from us. But here they are infringing on those rights day in and day out. So I'm sick of this stuff. I can tell you right now, Jason, and all your listeners out there, I'm a two-way absolutist. I want constitutional carry. I want people to own whatever they want. Whatever they want. Obviously, if you're going to go around and be a menace to society, then you know what? You're going to face, probably life-ending consequences for that kind of behavior. But that's the whole thing. Don't don't FO. It's that simple. Enjoy, protect your, have the means to protect yourself. Enjoy the tools that you have responsibly, of course. And just don't be an idiot. It's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, don't
And
be an
and an
idiot.
armed
Sums it up.
populace and an armed populace is a polite populace. Think about how much more polite people would be, the respect that would be out there. People wouldn't just be going around getting up in people's faces acting stupid. I mean, people, if everybody knew that everybody was armed, we were at low trust with no respect, and I think the Second Amendment is actually what will help us return there in a big way.
Definitely. I think there's definitely that force multiplier. I think also helping with law enforcement too, with that armed populace, because you are your own first responder at the end of the day. When
Mhm.
you have a firearm, a home invasion, or someone's trying to kill you or mug you on the street, something along those lines. And it really goes to show you too that now more than ever, concealed carry, reciprocity, constitutional carry, these issues are becoming more and more important. And we actually see that with the recent announcement from the Department of Justice, where the Civil Rights Division is now officially suing LA County Sheriff's Department for the CCW delays. So the Trump administration is now having to step in to California and whip them into shape and say, look, you are not delivering these CCWs in a timely manner. You are making them intentionally cost prohibitive, and you're going to court now because of it. And CRPA also had their previous lawsuit, which has now opened the door to out of state residents applying for CCWs in California. So I guess this would go without saying, under your leadership as governor, this lawsuit continues to move forward with the DOJ. Full cooperation with your governorship and your full support with the Trump administration, correct?
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Look, when it comes
full
to
stop.
the gun stuff, I mean, I'm pretty simple. It's not that complicated. I mean, that's the Second Amendment's not really the most lengthy piece of the document for a reason.
I get you. Yeah, I wanted to make it a point too, just because I think a lot of people have been so used to their elected officials not caring that much about their right to defend themselves. So I think it's really important to really even
I
show
got a
that
bunch of
Republicans care too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of guns, and I want people to be able to protect themselves. It's not something. And look, you have to, like, when you're a kid, right? You're taught, don't mess with the stove, right? Don't touch it. It's hot. You can burn the house down. Don't screw with it. No one, but nobody locked it up and put it away. It said just be responsible with it. Understand its power and its potential. Same thing with a gun. My uncle, he was a sheriff's deputy. He always taught me. He's like, you never pull a gun on somebody unless your intention is shoot it. It's you don't wave it around in somebody's face. It's draw, acquire target, shoot. That's it. Just like that. It's got a lot of power. It can take a life. It's not something to screw around with. But just like, hey, a hammer on a tool belt, you know, you could crack someone in the head with it, and that can take a life too. But that's the same. That's the same thing. But you don't misuse the tool for what its not intended purpose is, and just be responsible. Don't point the thing at anybody. Make sure always check anytime you're passing a gun around. Check the magazine. Check if anything's in the slide and chambered, or around in battery. Always check that kind of stuff. Know where the safety is. Know how to use it. Always remember that first and most important safety will always be your finger, your trigger finger.
Yeah, that's the gun control I like. The one where I can control the gun and be safe with it rather than all these politicians trying to strip your rights away. Um, with the 2A absolutist mindset and moving forward, as governor, what actions would you take under your leadership, executively, maybe calling a special legislative session? Like, what would you do to be proactive to reverse course on all these failed Democrat policies and try to fix what's happened with the Second Amendment in California?
Well, my goal is to make Arizona look like California is today when it comes to gun laws. I mean, I want us to be wide open. I mean, I went to school in Arizona. I know how how great the laws are over there. I mean, I want people to understand it. And if our legislators are going to be passing laws, they better get informed. So guess what? We're going to all take a field trip and the joys of actually using a firearm responsibly. And I think it'll be a really wonderful experience. I think though, and it's also about building those personal interactions with legislators, the people that make the decisions. Look, I'm not here to be this, this governor that comes in as a tyrant and I'm striking everything out and I can do anything I want. No, I want to make sure that number one, the Constitution, which this country is founded on, is upheld correctly. That's number one. Number two, I want to make sure that the people of the state are getting a fair deal and they're not getting screwed over. And so our legislatures need to be able to be properly informed about the subjects that they're going to be passing decisions on. And if it's going to be firearm stuff, well, guess what? You're going to get a crash course in firearms, in safety, in the fun, and that's it. To call on a field trip. So executive orders, I'll use them when I have to. When it comes to legislature, I've got the power of the line veto bill. So if they're trying to throw nonsense my way, we're going to strike that stuff out. But I will always reference our Second Amendment in the Constitution.
I like the idea of taking a little field trip to really show them what the reality of gun ownership actually entails, because
Yeah,
a lot of them don't want to actually learn. So if you make them learn and not listen to Everytown or Giffords or these other anti-American groups, maybe something will happen.
yeah. Take them down to Pendleton. I mean, we got military bases here. You know, take them down to Pendleton and have an all-you-can-shoot buffet. Learn, enjoy it, and learn from actual professionals.
For sure. And you know, when it comes to the legislature in particular, you know, they always espouse this idea of checks and balances whenever it comes to fighting the Trump administration or anything that's against the right wing. But then when it comes down to it themselves, they decide, well, we actually usurp that power and we actually get to do whatever we want. For example, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, they recently said gun rationing, one gun a month, is unconstitutional. You now have a bill being put forward to bring back gun rationing, but this time it's 3 guns a month because they're going to try to find that number to try and try to be moderate in that way. They're trying to look guys, they only said one gun here is unconstitutional a month. How about we try 3? Um
It's
and then
awful,
yeah, the
and
author of
it's
the bill in committee
and it's
himself said he doesn't care. He said to our guys in the session, I don't care. What needs to be done with legislators like that who literally don't care, who maybe don't want to take that little field trip like you were saying? What should be done about them?
then they need to recuse themselves from voting on something like that. I mean, that's they have a responsibility, and if they're unwilling to be educated on the subjects that they're passing laws on, then they should recuse themselves. And we have to find a way to get people to actually be honorable. But the problem is that our voting population doesn't vote down the ballot. So these idiots keep staying in power that keep doing these things that are unfair and unjust. Look, the best thing that we can also do is hold them accountable. And so, using the position of governor, I have the bully pulpit. So, whenever ridiculous laws are being pushed by obstinate or even common, let's just go with rational common sense laws that are being blocked by obstinate legislatures, you just call them out. You call them out and you let the people know, hey, this person in this district that represents this area, yeah, all of you that live here, yeah, that one you voted for, yeah, they don't want you to have affordable water, or they don't want you to have cheap gas, or they want to take away your rights and liberties. Just this guy right here or this gal. So just give you a heads up. You should call their office and tell them that you're really thrilled with what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely a huge campaign to get legislators, back on the right track is really what's needed.
Well,
Because
it's
yeah,
accountability. That's all it is.
absolutely. Because earlier this year we had that one really bad bill by Rick Zabur, that would have criminalized you defending yourself in your own house. It would have essentially gotten rid of castle doctrine in California. And he withdrew the bill from consideration after immense backlash from just people sounding the alarm on something like that. So I agree. There definitely needs to be more accountability. There needs to be people getting more involved in something like this, especially when it comes to your liberty.
Right. I mean, look, it's a government for the people, by the people, of the people, right? And we, the people, need to step up and do something about it. Sitting around expecting someone to swoop in and save you just ain't happen. I mean, Ryan, but I'm going to be able to do everything. I don't need everybody's help. I don't come in and get to be king dictator that marches around with a scepter. Wow, this is law now law. We're getting rid of this one. We're getting rid of this one. Work that way. So you have to be involved and be informed. I know it's politics. It's boring. We've been indoctrinated not to talk about. I think it's the most exciting stuff to talk about the score to the Bears game. Um, get involved.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I mean, look, they're your rights. It's like Franklin said, right? When he came out after, and the woman asked him, what kind of government do we have? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Well, can you keep it, folks?
Big question. Definitely a big question. Can you keep it? And part of keeping that republic is keeping the people satisfied with their elected officials, and keeping the people not oppressed with the idea that, oh well, we need to take your rights away for your own good. We need to ensure that assault weapons are banned, or you can only have 10-round magazines in California because that's going to make you a lot safer. All the while the government and then all these other criminals have 30, 40-round magazines, and you're outgunned and outarmed by design, by the way. um it's a really big problem, and especially with what's happening right now in the courts, we need this to be settled by the Supreme Court, because Duncan versus Bonta, the magazine capacity limit for California, that case is up at the Supreme Court for petition of certiorari right now. And this is a good opportunity for the Supreme Court to get rid of this in California and get rid of magazine bans all across the country. I mean, something like this needed to be stopped yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
I think an investigation of sorts, I think, would be in order for the California DOJ as to not only their other unconstitutional laws with assault weapons ban and 10-day wait periods, things like that, but because they're breaking California law with the 120-day time frame that they're supposed to have with the CCWs. I think a full audit and full investigation holding the attorney general accountable is probably the best way forward here. I mean, Rob Bonta has definitely not been fit for this job for quite a while.
Attorney General is definitely not his job. I mean, but look, all in this together, right? These woke progressive leftists that hate guns, that want to, well, they're more than, it's not that just they hate guns. I mean, let's face it, folks, they're globalists. That's what it is. They want to make sure that you don't have the ability to stop them from total control. That's really what it boils down to. I mean, Gavin Newsom, he's a disciple of Klaus Schwab. He went to the School for Future World Leaders. That's the World Economic Forum. The people that are pushing Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, 15-minute cities, all that nonsense. Yeah, this is all part of their plan. The American experiment, as they call it, is really a thorn in their side, and they want to put an end to it. So people like Rob Bonta and all these other wokadoodles out there that don't like our guns and our rights, that it's all by design. And it's not just the Second Amendment that they've been going after. I mean, look at how they're destroying the First Amendment here with this new
Yeah.
this new bill that they're pushing, that if you post stuff on social media that they can they can penalize you. You can go to jail for posting on social media, like what's happening in the UK. And if you haven't seen what's going on in the UK, you need to take a look, because they're throwing people in jail for multiple years for social media and Facebook posts and things like that.
Ooh.
So when you said earlier, like, oh, that could never happen here, yeah, you say that until one day it does. So they're just trying to erode all our rights altogether.
And that's where I think people definitely miss the mark on, well, what makes America so special compared to the rest of the West or the rest of the quote unquote free world, right? Everyone tries to belittle
Mhm.
and try to talk down on the United States by saying, well, there's nothing special about us compared to the UK or Germany or anywhere like that, because it's all the West. And they only see freedom as the ability to, oh, I can go to the grocery store and then I can go to a restaurant and then I can like
Yeah,
do
wait till
these.
New York finds out what that's like.
Yeah, wait till exactly right when a communist gets elected mayor. Um, but what makes us exceptional, American exceptionalism, is that we
Yeah.
have the First Amendment and the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment, and the Bill of Rights is so important so that we don't have a situation like in the UK where people are getting arrested for praying outside of abortion clinics, or people get arrested for posting on Facebook a hateful meme or anything like that. Or Japan. We're always compared to Japan. Well, Japan can detain people for 23 days without a reason, and they force confessions out of people. That doesn't sound like a super free and just due process system, but I thought America wasn't any different than some of these other developed countries, right?
Hello, the Patriot Act. If you're deemed a terrorist, then they can detain you indefinitely without trial. Uh, I think we're in a pretty sorry state ourselves. We got a lot of things to undo, here in the United States. But look, it happens in other countries, and it's in our freedoms are already being eroded here. Why? And look what they always do, especially when it comes to the Second Amendment. They always advocate for safety in exchange for your liberty and your rights. And that's
Yeah.
always the exchange, right? We'll give you a false sense of security in exchange for you having less freedoms and rights. And that's it. And that's always the exchange. And you have a populace of people who are very afraid of everything because the world's a scary place. And they're like, yes, take my rights, take them away. I just want to feel safe. And that's how we wind up in these positions. But we have to be able to be empowered, and we have to be strong, and we have to know that we can stand up for ourselves and we can defend ourselves, because we do have that power, and those firearms are the best tool can. And it's a big deterrent, especially when everybody knows that everybody around them has a firearm. They're less inclined to do stupid, dangerous things. It's that simple. That's why I say an armed populace is a polite populace.
Definitely. And part of the whole agenda to undo what we know as the United States of America comes in this mass influx of illegal immigration and people coming into this country unvetted and replacing the regular voting base with their own illegal non-American base because they believe in this
Hmm.
false idea of this global community that, oh, America is just a place you can just come and go and you can just make money here. They see it as this economic plunder zone rather than a people and an identity and something to be proud of. And I think partially with what we see with the rise in crime with illegal immigration and all these people, this definitely contributes to the gun conversation, I think, as well, because a lot of honest, well meaning patriots will find themselves in situations they otherwise wouldn't have because now you have violent people entering this country and have been here. And then Democrats in California push back on the Trump ICE raids, and now they want to unmask the ICE
Yeah.
agents, and now they want to lessen the collaboration between immigration enforcement and
I
state
love, I
government.
love, yeah, I love the whole, oxymoronical thing that they want to take the masks off the ICE agents, but they wanted everybody to wear a mask during the scandemic, and they're even
Right.
talking about bringing back the masks mandates and stuff like that because apparently COVID's somehow back, big scary boogie virus that killed barely anybody. Um, so I mean, it's all a joke, and look, the illegal immigration that's coming into this country is a big problem. I don't want people coming here legally. I want people that are going to come here documented, and we should have caps on how many people should even come here documented every year. Love for you to come and be a tourist, come and hang out, have a good time, spend your money here, but then go back home. You know,
Yeah.
after, so, but there's a lot of it's not, and people are, oh, they're looking for a better life and all these other things. Great, great. Set up a charity, help them over there. But the thing is that you have drugs coming over the border that are killing 100,000 Americans every year. The fentanyl that's coming across the border,
Yep.
not because all these poor helpless people are doing it. No, because of this thing and the human trafficking, the drug trade, the cartels that are controlling all of this, that have deals with communist China, that the country from within. It's China's whole death by a thousand cuts. You have Mexican cartels that value human life, at zero, that don't care about people that are being, brought here. So by shutting down the border and arming our populace to defend against this, I mean, look at all the business owners when these crazy rioters get out of control. And those that took place in Los Angeles recently, the anti-ICE rate, the no kings, whatever the hell they want
Oh
to call it,
yeah.
you know, going around destroying stuff. Those were all paid people. I mean, literally Craigslist looking for the toughest, meanest in town to, come down there and just be on the payroll to do things like that. So, I mean, it's all documented. I'm not fabricating any of these details here. You don't believe me, go ahead and look it up yourself. Um, so, I mean, going back to 92, right, with the LA riots, the Rodney King riots, the
Mhm.
rooftop Koreans, right?
Of
What were they doing?
course.
They were saving their businesses from being plundered. I mean, look what happened with the George Floyd riots. Minneapolis is burned down. They burned down the police station. That caused over $2 billion worth of damage. You know, and people lose their livelihoods, especially in a state like California, where guess what? You're not able to get insured so easy because we just mismanaged the state to hell and back. So of course you want to protect your assets and your business. My God, if somebody group of rioters and looters come through smashing up the whole neighborhood, it's going to be weeks before you're back in business and operating to take all your stuff. You know, you probably don't have enough insurance to cover all your. It's a big issue. So people have the right to defend their property, and they need to have the
Yeah.
means to do so in an effective manner that dissuades people from behaving this way.
Definitely. I
I'm all
could
for a good
not.
protest, just do it responsibly.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said that any better myself. I mean, directly from your campaign website, I will end sanctuary policies, help the Trump administration secure the border, empower law enforcement, and restore justice. We'll stop letting criminals walk free and we'll start putting the law abiding first again. So, I mean, that basically what you talked about there encompasses your campaign mission, and I think it's long overdue. I mean, everybody complaining about what's happening is like they're either uninformed or they have a different horse in the race that isn't the American people. And it's getting to be to the point where
Yeah.
it's very traitorous.
Absolutely. And here's the thing though, because everybody's talking about, why we have so much criminality and all these things. And it's not the guns. It's because we have our economies in the toilet. Because people in this state can't get their ability to grow their business. And the businesses that are here, they flee. Okay. So when the businesses leave, the jobs leave. All right. And if it's difficult with all the permits that are in the way and the regulatory process that's in the way and all these arbitrary monetary barriers to entry to be successful in this, and so there's less job opportunities. And then on top of that, you factor in the fact that our education's in the toilet as well. So even the jobs that are there, they can't even hire enough qualified talent for their positions. I mean, I have three friends on my ice hockey team that are Boeing engineers, and they have told me that, everybody's wondering why the doors are falling off the planes, right? It's because Boeing had to lower their standards to be able to hire sufficient applicants to fill the roles they needed. So when you're wondering why the doors are falling off, it's because they have people that otherwise wouldn't be qualified working for them. So because our education system here in California is so bad, because we don't have an emphasis on vocational skills at all. Kids are, reading three levels below grade level. They're graduating, they just get pushed through. There's no standardized testing to hold teachers accountable. I mean, all these things factor in together. as to why you don't have businesses here, you don't have education here, and that combination of not being smart enough to get a job and the absence of jobs in general because there aren't enough talented people to actually make a business operate are what lead people to criminality. It's a down economy with low opportunity, with low education. So when you can fix that with the solutions that I'm bringing with me to California, I mean, don't get me wrong, Second Amendment stuff is very important, but when it comes to actual law and order, having a business environment and an educated populace is going to do a hell of a lot more wonders in preventing criminality than anything else.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the idea that um California has to be so much different than the rest of the union, because I know a lot of people have that pride in Cal, especially the Democrats. They have that pride in California that, well, we're California, we're so different, we can do whatever we want. And then everything they want and anything they want just continues to hurt regular people, and it just continues to increase taxes. Gavin Newsom wastes $300 million on Prop 50, the train to nowhere, the fire disaster that we had at the beginning of the year. Is this really something we're supposed to be bragging about, that California is so different but in a bad way? And yeah, especially when everyone is so downtrodden and hurt, I feel as if a lot of people get apathetic and they don't want to get involved. And that's something that I really want to let everybody at home know too. Definitely get involved, because these are your rights. This
Mhm.
is your livelihood at jeopardy here, and we definitely, we need to do something now before it's too late.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But they are so downtrodden because they're struggling to stay afloat. Who has time to worry about all the things that upset them when they're working two jobs just to keep a roof over their head or take care of a family that they have maybe, even if it's not even that, they're just trying to stay afloat, right? And then God forbid you speak out against, the social acceptable norm. You could get canceled for that and lose your job, and then what? You're screwed. You're on the street. And then, you're working so hard, you just kind of want to like relax and forget about everything. So what do? You go out for a beer, but hey, it's $9 a beer. And it took you $6 a gallon to get there. So people don't have that luxury anymore. They're just worked to death and they're afraid to speak out because they're living they're living by the seat of their pants. I mean, most Americans don't even have $5,000 saved up. I mean, imagine you get a flat tire, and you're in a situation like that. That'll screw up your whole month or two. I mean, think about it. Getting a new set of tires. Something like that would set most people back that they couldn't possibly. It's a hard thing to recover from. I'm just saying that's the reality that we live in, you know?
It's an unfortunate reality, and you know, I know we've had the big recall efforts to get rid of Gavin Newsom, which I've been seeing more and more now that we've had a lot of fraudulent votes in the recall efforts, especially in Sacramento County, Santa Clara, from what I understand. And I think it just shows that people have been so sick and tired of what's happening in California government that they they have to the Democrats have to cheat in one way or another to try and keep their power and keep their iron grip on everybody, because they know that regular people are sick of this. So I think it's time for a change. It's thank God that Newsom is termed out for 2026. We have to endure one more year, but change is afoot, and it's definitely going to be a long road, but a very important road to take, because I think people also underestimate that not everything's going to change overnight. Everything has a process to it. We got here over decades of horrible policy. It's going to take a little bit of time to undo all of that, and we have to start now. 2026, the midterms are so important. And that's why we here on our chapter YouTube channel want to bring you guys these interviews so that your vote is informed on what's going to happen in California, whether you decide to vote in for governor, sheriff, your assembly member, your senator, wherever and whoever you vote for. We want to make sure that we get you all the facts and what's going to be happening straight up and straightforward. Leo, I really want to thank you for joining me today on this interview. Do you have any other final thoughts on just what we talked about today? Anything you'd like to say? And I know the Republican gubernatorial pool is little big right now. So another final thought is, what helps set you apart from the other Republicans, and also your final thoughts.
Well, besides the fact that I'm actually from California, uh, and I have, I've got real plans, and I'm a real person. I'm a regular guy. I've been in business. I've been in agriculture business. I can tell I have the detailed solutions on how we end the drought, on how we fix the homeless crisis, on how we can bring revenue into the state through our resources like oil, water. We'll be doing generating power and exporting that, having a logging industry that prevents wildfires and brings us in revenue and eliminates the invasive bark beetle. I have plans for education, we have school choice, where you get the parents the opportunity to pick where their kids go, emphasizing vocational skills, real proper history, holding teachers accountable through standardized testing. I mean, I can tell you all the solutions here for California because we know what the damn problems are. All right. All right? And I'm not here to give anybody a pep talk. That's the other thing. They love all the other guys out there. They'll give you a pep talk. This ain't time for a pep talk. We know what's wrong. How do we get out of this mess? That's what I have for you, California. Please give me the opportunity to do that for you. I'm not here to make a career out of politics. Trust me, the $300,000 a year ain't going to change my life. Um, um, I got a lot of other things going on, and I'm doing this because I love my state and I love my country, and I'm sick of it being abused. And what happened to my family, okay, is a prime example of what can happen to anybody. If it can happen to someone of our scale, it can happen to every single one of you out there. So don't let this continue. Let's vote for common sense, and please just do your research. And the best thing you can do is tell folks about me. I need you to help spread the word. Legacy media doesn't like outsiders. Sorry. Uh, that's the truth. They silence us everywhere. I'm fighting up against, algorithms that are against conservatives. So I need all your help. Follow me at Leo S. Zacky on Instagram and X and on TikTok, and go to my website, leozacky.com. I got to show the party I'm getting donations. So they only recognize donations of $100 or more as a minor. Obviously, anything above 10,000 is a major donor. Would love that too if you got that ability. But please, I hate asking for money. It's not about me needing the money for the campaign. I'm in for well over $1 million at this point. I can keep funding it myself, but the party needs to see that I have individual small dollar donors as well. So please consider being one of those. If you want to volunteer, you can always reach out to our team, message us on social media, or reach out to us through the website, leozacki.com. It's time for change. They're ready. I'm a real person with real plans. Let's fix this place.
California is worth saving. I think a lot of people write off California, but we have a lot of beauty here, and it's being covered with a dark cloud and a dark shadow, and people can't see it for what it is. And we can change from the fool's gold state back to the golden state, I believe, ladies and gentlemen. But again, thank you, Leo, for joining me today on very important conversations about the Second Amendment and our posterity as Californians. So I want to thank you all at home for watching us, and I hope the next election cycle you have some more information as to what you might want to vote for and what you prioritize for the next election here in California. So thank you for watching, and may God bless America.